Daddy, chill.
What the hell?
It is safe to say they are not holding back for DCPT-05, with the very first red line to be revealed is straight up the last of the Destined one of the time, Liael Odium. And I will have to say this, I feel a lot of people were really excited and horrified that we are getting another unit that essentially gets another turn. But after playtesting it, I feel it has its use, but it is not as busted as a lot of people think it to be. How exactly is that? That exactly is what I'm gonna be covering about today. As usual, we are starting off with the right line. We have Steamburner Tiklat. Tiklat has essentially only one skill, where when this is placed by riding from a grade 0 unit, reveal a grade 3 card with Liael in its card name from your right deck, put a Destined timepiece token into your order zone.
Is it my time, Angel?
This is essentially just a setup card just like the progress. So before we continue, let's talk about Destined timepiece, and don't worry, it won't take too long because this is a debuff.
NANI?
As Destined timepiece has only one skill. Constant on order zone, you cannot write grade 3 or greater card without Liael in their card names, and you can have regress gauges.
Disappointed!
So essentially very similar condition that we get with System Code Exceed, but without all the good that Exceed actually does for you.
Why are you like this?
But what does regress gauge actually do for you? Well, not much, but it does help you to chain into some very interesting interaction that the deck has prepared for you, and you can see it immediately with the grade 2 of the right line. Life Cessation Colossus. This unit also only has one skill, where when brought upon by Steamburner Tiklat, you can put a card from your hand face up as Regage Gate and
Draw 2 more cards!
this is actually very simple but extremely useful, as draw 2 at this part of the game really helps the deck in not only defending against a rush deck, but also help you to build your board and rush back as well if so desired. Especially some card interaction in this game technically allow you to rush on turn 2. But before we get to how this deck can rush, we have to talk about the main boss unit, the unit that I was waiting to see its effect reveal for the past 3 months. Destined 1 Uptime, Liael Odium. This unit has 3 skills, where the first one is a constant, where during your turn all of your front row rear guards get additional 5k for each of your distorted Bane in your regress gauge. And then when this unit attacks Soul Blast 1, choose a card from your rear guard or hand and put it face up as a regress gauge. If you put a card, this unit get triple drive until end of turn.
Yes, I like that.
So let's just talk about Liael own self with the skill that she has first. This is actually pretty solid skill. Ability to get additional drive very easily is really good, even if it is stoppable by Elementaria. And then you have your constant that essentially buff your entire front row rear guard, meaning that you don't really need to heavily rely on Personal Ride as much because your rear guard is gonna hit really hard for you. But you might be wondering, isn't this another situation with Unroll where you have a strong rear guard but really weak Vanguard? Well, that is not the case because of the card that is heavily related to this unit, and that is Distorted Bane. So before we come back to the last skill, let's talk about Distorted Bane first because this is very crucial. As this is a normal grade 3 order that can only be played by Liael, and when you play it, you may soul charge 1 and put this card that you played as a regress gauge.
But wait!
Distorted Bane also have additional ability separate from the order skill itself, where when it is put as a regress gauge, you can draw a card and your Vanguard gets additional 10k until end of turn, of course.
Not bad.
Distorted Bane has, let's be real, a really shit activation skill, but it does have a very strong follow-up skill where essentially you just give 10k to your Vanguard and get a free draw as well, making that triple drive a lot more threatening than you think it is.
Which is nice and all.
But despite all that, you might notice the main problem with this card already, even before we go into the last skill, and that is the fact that everything in this deck heavily relies on Distorted Bane, because currently this is the only way, aside from the Liael second skill, for you to get multiple gauges in one single turn. But why you want to build so much regress gauge within a single turn? Well, it kinda boils down to this unit.
Stop it.
Where at the end of the battle, this unit attack, if you have 5 or more regress gauges, and do note this doesn't have a grade restriction, discard 2 cards from hand and you get additional turn. And until the end of that additional turn, this unit get drive -1 and your right phase and main phase are not performed during that additional turn.
Hey yo, what the f?
So yeah, this is a skill that everyone were freaking out about. The skill that has a heritage of Chronovisor heritage himself and Beyond Order Dragon. It's a very nice mix between the two. And I would say this is also Liael's strongest point. Ability to kind of go into burst 6 attack and have ability to reset all the powers on all units on the field because you end your turn. All the power gain you get from the triggers disappear from there. So this means that your opponent had to deal with 3 more attack that essentially is practically a -10 or more depending on how many defensive they get in the previous turn. But it is also a double-edged sword because you are also resetting your own power, but fortunately enough you are still getting additional power from Liael constant skill, but also you actually get twin drive. And that boils down to the fact that the divine skill minus your drive by 1, but you are still able to activate Liael's second skill to get a triple drive, so 2 minus 1 you still get 2 drive.
심플 메스.
So essentially this card has a burst 6 attack that can restand itself and reset a power. It is very powerful, but it is not as broken as you think it is because of that skip of right phase and main phase, which is normally where you can do all the shenanigans before you can push it really hard. But overall I actually like this divine skill a lot, and it is easily the strongest divine skill of the Destined one.
So, I believe I made myself clear.
And now that we have talked about all the main parts, let's talk about support, because this is where you can see the number of cards in regress gauge does matter a little bit more. And we have to start off this time round with the more higher rarity card first, with Anachronus Dragon, as this card has 2 skills where in gauge zone, at the beginning of your battle phase, if this card is a regress gauge, you can counterblast 1, choose a card from your drop and put it face up as a regress gauge, and if you put a card, you can call this card to Regas Circle. And then when this is an attack of Vanguard, if you have grade 3 over greater Vanguard with Liael in its card name, until the end of that battle, this unit gets 5k, and if you have 3 or more regress gauges, Energy Blast 2, choose one of your opponent Vanguard and retire it.
That's it?
The retire skill is very optional, but the fact that this unit is a permanent 18k once you reach your Liael is a really good deal. But I would have to say its strongest point is the first skill, ability to self-call itself from the regress gauge as early as turn 2, allow you to actually rush, and ability to put a card from regress gauge from drop into the gauge. And this allows you to put any card that triggers when you put that card as a regress gauge, with a very good example is of course Distorted Bane and one other card that I'll be talking about later. But overall this is a really good card, and I feel if you can try to have at least 1 copy of this in your gauge zone at all times. And then move on to the only double R we got for Liael. We have Almania Colossus, and let's be real here, this unit is literally Odium with a different step, where when this is placed on Regas Circle and you have a regress gauge, you may counterblast 1 to draw a card and soul charge 1, and then constant if you have 3 or more regress gauge, this unit gets a boost.
Kind of, you see what I mean?
Nothing too special, but I have to say the fact that it's a guaranteed 10k boost is really helpful for cards like Liael or even Anachronus Dragon, as it just helps you to hit that good magic number.
So good?
And then we have last 2 cards to talk about, Ablaze Kimira and Steamburner Amiditana. Ablaze Kimira only has 1 skill where when placed on Regas Circle, if you have grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Liael in its name, counterblast 1, look at top 5 of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less cards from among them and call to Vanguard and then shuffle your deck. The reason why I emphasize on the card, aside from the fact that it is a very solid filter, is the fact that it allows you to call Distorted Bane in technicality, because you can call order when the skill does allow you to call any cards, but the order will not stay on the field. This means that you technically can filter out Distorted Bane by this skill and have it put into regress zone later with Anachronus Dragon.
Hey, that's pretty good.
And then we have the card that I feel is slightly underappreciated because of the fact that I didn't really put in my deck list during my testing, and that is Steamburner Amiditana. This card has only 1 skill as well, where when placed on Vanguard during your turn or put as your regress gauge, you can choose one of your unit and have it plus 5k until end of turn. Most of the time you'll be using this to boost your Liael just a little bit more, allowing you to break through that magic number. But overall I think this card does help in the earlier part of the game, as technically Anachronus Dragon can be used early game as long as it is a regress gauge. So this card does combo well with other support in the deck in general. It's just a little bit sad that it is also a very first card that will be immediately replaced if there is a better grade 2 for Liael in general.
Not good enough!
So we have go through all the supports and Liael herself. How good is she? Well, for a 3 attack deck, she is actually very solid because she can build the board if needed to very quickly out of nowhere, and each of the attack that she can deal is actually really substantial thanks to her ability to give more power to your graveyards while still getting additional drive during your turn as well. And then that extra turn is just ridiculous, of course. It is not broken, it's just a little bit ridiculous, especially considering it resets whatever power gain your opponent get from their defensive. And of course, this deck has an insane synergy with the Order engine because you have to play the Order engine, which is also a weakness of the deck. If you cannot get this Distorted Bane throughout the game, you are screwed. Like, Liael power level scales based on how many Distorted Bane you have in your regress gauge. So the more you have, the better, but the less you have, the more screwed you are. Especially, she is still a 3 attack deck. As much as I am an advocate for 3 attack decks in general, but I feel in this particular case, 1 additional attack might not hurt the deck as much. And last but not least, of course, this is a problem that I would say you can really notice it as you playtest it. The deck is a little bit counterblast heavy. Thanks to all the cards like Almania, Blaze, and Anachronus require a counterblast and need more or less once every turn. So balancing a counterblast use is gonna be very important. But that's Liael Odium, the deck that I was waited for a while already, and I am very happy that the deck is actually very solid but not broken. Do leave down in the comments below whether do you think the additional turn that Odium gets is fair or not. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub and become a member for some cool perks. And this is Mac Megane signing out.